Yeah. Well, good evening and welcome to the Resilient Living Podcast. I am Jared Wilson, joined by my friend, Calvin Bryant.
I'm Calvin.
Well, okay. I'm assuming that everybody in here has met you or seen you on the previous podcast. But
Maybe.
in case they haven't,
I'd
who
say
are you?
that somebody hasn't, because I think you probably have more viewers than last time. Hopefully, is the goal, right?
Right.
Yeah, my name's Calvin Bryant. I'm the owner and founder of Invictus Templar. We're a tactical gear company. We do body armor, plate carriers, cool stuff like that, and also really good coffee.
And really good coffee. Really good coffee. I mean, we got the local broaster. Like he is got it dialed in.
Exactly. He's a pro.
He is absolutely. All right. Well, while people are trickling on in, I was trying to think of a something I have in stock that kind of exemplifies this idea of not having to spend a fortune to get a quality product. And I was like, what do I have? Like, I've got a lot of things that kind of fit that bill, but I was thinking,
I'll say it's not the ReadyWise behind you, because that's expensive and good quality. So that one doesn't fit.
I was actually contemplating. It's like that's kind of the opposite directions,
right?
But
opposite direction. That's you spend well to get something that's really good. Yeah.
Now, my backpack. Okay. I've been rocking that thing for like 3 years. So it is road tested. Literally, it rides with me on my motorcycle. It is loaded down with lots of fun stuff. I've got my 10.5 in there.
That's your safety backpack, right?
It's my safety backpack. Yeah, it's got my Glock.
Your Linus blanket.
Oh, it was Glock. Now I'm rocking the CZ P10C.
There you go.
This thing's nice. I like it. Rides a little bit lower, but doesn't print as bad.
Gotcha.
Because I'm the Penix carry because I'm a man.
Right.
Dingleberries.
On people with slender frames like yourself and women, but I repeat myself, you could also do smaller caliber and then it doesn't print as much, right?
Okay, Marine.
I talk as if I'm like some 6 foot something king. I'm a short king, so
all right. Okay, so the topic, and you kind of covered this on your own podcast a couple of weeks ago, talking about
I ranted
Gucci
about
guns,
it as it were. It was a good rant, I think.
It was a good rant. So kind of want to jump off from what you were talking about in the Gucci gun world. But I want to actually use that kind of as a segue into the Gucci stuff world, because in our preparedness world, there's a lot of Gucci crap. And, honestly, I wouldn't call ReadyWise Gucci. It definitely is not cheap. There's definitely cheaper ways to be prepared. It is a solid product, but it's not the cheapest product. Right. So so this was my idea, right? So let me share my screen. There we go. Okay. So the Geisley, the Super Duty specifically. So we're talking a 16-inch 5.56, standard AR rifle, $2,600.
Right, and out of stock. So
and everywhere you're lucky if you can find one of these, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's slum it a little bit, right? So we're gonna go Daniel Defense.
Now we're really slumming it. Yeah, we saved $400.
$2,200. Okay, there we go. We're going to jump way down. Palmetto State, $899.
There we go. Now we're talking something that I might be able to afford. Yeah.
Well, not you just afford. It's like, okay, is this truly more than double the value of this? Is it going to really, or then we can go real slum it. We can go the Bear Creek and you're into it for $400.
Yeah. What's funny about Bear Creek is the amount of people that really like Bear Creek because it just works so well.
My 10.5.
Right. And so I know guys who run, I know a couple influencers who run Bear Creek, and they get stuff in Bear Creek all the time, probably because Bear Creek has cheaper stuff. So they give it to influencers all the time, which is fine.
Sure. Yeah.
But what's interesting is they swear by it. I've never heard anybody, people always have bad experiences with anything, right?
Oh yeah. Oh gosh.
But I've never heard anything bad about Bear Creek. I've heard bad things about PSA. It's hit or miss. Like some people buy PSA and they're on their third or fourth PSA rifle, and other people are like, "Yeah, I'll never touch that." Right.
Right.
And that was something that I covered in on my podcast last week. Because for those that didn't listen, for your audience, if they want to go take a listen, we have a section in the podcast called "Is That Heresy?" And what we do is we debunk heresy. So whenever we hear something that is heretical, there was a guy on a prepper forum, and he posted like 6 different things. I won't read them all off. But one of the things that he was talking about was like bargain bin optics and like cheap rifles and all this other stuff. And the comments section, and myself included, I tried to actually engage with him, because I thought a lot of the stuff that he had to say about the way people treat prepping and the seriousness, they don't treat it with enough seriousness, or they just don't do some fundamental things that they should, like training, right? And so there's a lot of stuff, like I probably agreed with like 80% of what he said, but then I critiqued a few things, and I was like, look, like you're talking about you shouldn't own a PSA rifle. It's like, well, if that's what somebody can afford, then that's what they can afford. And
Yeah.
so, like the question that you just brought up is like, is that Geisley, or if you're fancy and you pronounce them Giselle, it is a rifle, almost 3 times the value. And it's like, maybe, but like, what are you trying to get out of it? And like, what's your purpose for the weapon?
Sure. Yeah.
And I've had friends over the years reach out to me, and they'll be like, I want to get my first handgun. What should I get? And I'll ask him a lot of questions, like, how are you planning on carrying it? Like,
Yeah.
if I know, if there's somebody that like, I know, like the joke I made to you about, the size and the caliber and printing and all that, if I know the person, then I can recommend, like, hey, you should probably stick with like 9mm below, or like, no, you need like a 380 because you're very small. Right.
Yeah.
And so back. So here's like your price ranges. Like if you're on a budget and you cannot afford anything because you're living paycheck to paycheck, but you live in a place where you feel like you need to be armed, go ahead and go get that Taurus, go get that Ruger, because it's going to work, right? Like you're not going to be able to burn thousands of rounds through it because you're going to break it eventually, right? It's not going to perform like something like a Walther or
absolutely.
But at the same time, if you can barely afford a firearm, and this really goes for anything that we'll talk about tonight, right? If you can barely afford a firearm and like $400 is like your max, you're probably not spending $1 trillion on ammo. You're not going to be, spending
training and
at the range, unfortunately, right? You're probably doing dry fire. And if you're just dry firing, you're not burning your barrel out, right?
Right.
So one of the things this guy said was he'll never, you shouldn't own a PSA rifle because he's owned 2 and he's had to replace both barrels because he puts thousands upon thousands around. And I'm like, good for you, man. Like,
that's awesome.
Great. I'm glad that you can do that. If you can afford that much ammo, then you can afford, some much higher caliber or, quality barrel.
Yeah.
Right. But like, don't price people out of doing stuff.
Right.
And
I'd much rather have somebody come in and sell them a poverty pony.
Right.
Although Anderson's out of business now, so that we got to come up with a different nomenclature. And get them in, get them into it, get them to the range, have them shoot that barrel out. Fantastic. Now they understand why, maybe a Daniel defense is actually worth it, because if you're going to be burning that much, it's going to cycle better. You're going to have a better bolt carrier grip out of the box. Yes, you're going to have better, materials. Yeah, that's awesome. I want somebody to shoot the barrel out. That's fantastic.
Right. Well, it's like I'm not a fan of Glocks really because of the ergonomics. But if somebody asks me like, should I get a Glock? I'm like, well, what are you trying to do with it? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is probably. You should probably get a Glock because as far as for quality and durability and what it's going to do for you, and at that price point, like it's good. Will I own a Glock? Probably not, unless I like do something like crazy, like build one like the Terran tactical John Wick guns, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But, and that's just to do it because Glock has so many aftermarket parts. You could do that.
Yep.
But you mentioned like out of the box, like something that's going to be higher quality, right? So like if you pick up an H&K or a Walther, especially
Yeah.
like a Walther like PPQ, I have an
Ooh.
M2 on the wall somewhere behind me, an M2 like a match setup, and it's customized. But even like out of the box, my VP9 SK is one of the best shooting guns you'll ever shoot out of the box.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's going to shoot better than a Glock out of the box. It's going to shoot better than that Taurus or the Ruger or whatever, and many other brands. But there's a price difference too, and like you're going to be price gated out of that, and that's okay. Like if you can't afford it, right?
Mhm.
My first handgun was a Glock because when I was, first, in the market for a handgun, first off, I didn't buy a new one. I bought a used one.
Yep.
And I bought a Glock because it was
Yep.
affordable. So it was affordable and it was used. It was in my price, and now I had a handgun. And then eventually I sold it, and now I have higher quality ones. Like you said, I played around, learned what I wanted, what worked for me. But I didn't start by just buying something expensive just because it was expensive. Because like the trade-off is like, what is the trade-off that you're trying to get? And I think that here's a good example. So if you're getting a gun because you want something for defensive purposes, like you want to carry something or you want a rifle for your home,
Yeah.
if that's the purpose, you don't need something that has like a extreme tolerance because you're trying to get like sub MOA at whatever range, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
so I put together, this was like 6 months ago, I put together my own honey badger. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a 300 blackout pistol, and the upper and the rail is all Aero Precision. The
Okay. Yeah.
lower is a PSA lower because it
Yes.
was just a cheap lower to throw on there. I can change it and do whatever I want later. It's got like, the lower is the cheapest piece of crap on there. And people tell me like, "Oh, you don't want to do that. You want to get a matching arrow lower." And I was like, "I don't really feel like spending more money on that. And what am I going to get out there?" And like, well, that if you don't get them matched up,
Stacked
that
tolerances and
yeah, the
yes.
tolerance, like it's not going to be a tight fit. It's like, this is a 300 blackout. It's a shorty. It's I'm not plinking at 1,000 feet or 1,000 yards or whatever,
No.
right?
No. Oh gosh. No.
This is somebody's coming in the door and I'm going brrr, right? So it's like, what are you doing with it and what are you trying to get out of it? But then like if you want to go make you want to go build a precision rifle for match shooting, then yeah, you're going to spend the money. You're going to do all your tolerance checks. You're going to go
Yep.
down that whole rabbit hole. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about like if you're really worried about burning out the barrel, okay, you could buy what 5 Bear Creeks for 1 Geisley.
Yeah. If I burn through this
Realistically.
rifle, I can just pick up a whole nother rifle.
Exactly. Or you could have it set up differently. You could have one set up with a short barrel. You could have one
Right.
set up with a long barrel. You could have one set up for night vision. You could have one set up for like there's a
Right.
lot of options now. Now we're testing different things that hey, what do I like doing?
And I tell people the same thing with body armor, not to price yourself out of body armor, right? And so
I'm glad you brought that up.
there's people out there that'll tell you like, oh no, you just get level 4 plates. Anything else is garbage. It's like, I don't run level 4 plates. I sell them. I don't run them. Like
Right.
I have them. So I
have them in my K19 and I can't wait to get rid of them and get yours because I as soon as I got my hands on yours, I was like, oh, this is better.
well,
Like, this is just better.
like, but I tell people, they're like, well, what do you recommend? I'm like, well, it depends on what you're trying to do. Like, are you trying to defeat like all general purpose rifle threats? Then get something that's RF1 or RF2 rated, level 3, when what we used to call 3+ and intermediary. And that's good. You don't need level 4. You don't need RF3 protection. Like that's and if you're not familiar with what that means, like we're talking about armor penetrator threats. So you're talking about like a military grade sniper round that's made to penetrate through through small steel.
Yeah.
It's
Black
like
Tip-Bot 6 or
like exactly. A 30-06 M2 steel penetrator. It's like, what gunfight are you planning to get into that's a thing? Like, yeah, that is a threat. Like old Haas down the road probably has that 30-06 with that round, but like, is that a realistic, like Haas is probably on your side at the end times, honestly,
Right.
like depending on where you live, he's probably on your side. The average threat doesn't have that. So I tell people all the time, like, you don't really need ceramic. You just don't. And so I tell people, like, if price is your concern and you want to have something that's quality and going to do most things for you, get steel.
Yeah,
and then
sure.
and it's going to do what you need it to do, and it's super durable, and you're not going to ever wear it out. Um,
True.
and then if somebody's like, well, I got a little bit more money than that, and I don't want steel because it's heavy, I'm like, all right, cool. I've got, some other stuff for you. I got stuff
Yeah.
that weighs 3 pounds.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
again, it's like, what can you afford that works? And a lot of people buy steel. I start off with steel. And then I upgrade later. So you might even start off with like really heavy steel just to have something, but it was cheap and super heavy. And then you're like, all right, well, now that I know what I'm doing, like, and I've saved up some money, now I can upgrade. And I think that goes for a lot of stuff, a lot of gear, right? Like maybe you can't resell like food, like you can, like people do buy used,
Yeah, right.
you use food supplies and stuff like that. Uh, you know, single MREs out of the case, stuff like that. But like generally speaking, you can upgrade over time, right? I tell people they're like, well, what do I do with my old plate carrier, my old place? I'm like, sell it on Facebook Marketplace for somebody who's trying to get their first set. Like you're
Exactly.
not going to get your full amount back. You're like,
No.
if you paid $300 for a set, you're not going to get $300 out of it.
Yeah.
But oh well, like, do you want to upgrade or not?
$150. You've got
Yeah. Do
cash
you
in your
want to upgrade
pocket.
or not?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and this it goes for like everything. Like there was a conversation about optics around the same thing. And optics is a really sensitive subject for people. They of all
I don't
the
know
things in the
why.
tactical community, I'm pretty sure that optics is the most fangirled thing of everything. Like, if it's not going to be like your hand, like I don't really think it's really much of a rifle thing. Like, there's definitely people who are super particular about rifles, but like handguns and optics are the two things that people fangirl over, and like they'll go down swinging over it. And it's like, if somebody's an aim point fanboy, like, it's the end of the world. Like nothing else even exists for them, and that's fine. But this guy told me, and I want your take on this. So this guy responded to me because I was like, look, man, like not like I get it. So he's like, people buy like Temu bargain bin optics. I'm like, I get it. I don't. I'm sorry, I moved my hand. My camera got confused.
How dare you?
People are like, that I don't think they should go buy Temu optics necessarily. That's probably not a good idea. If the optic is $20, that's probably too cheap, depending on what it is. Unless you're putting like a red dot on like a crossbow, I guess. But
there you go. Airsoft.
But I was like, look, man, not everybody has the money for Aimpoint and Holosun. He's like, and he replied to me, he's like, Holosun is like the bare minimum that you should be buying. I was like, okay, now I know I'm just talking like an idiot. Like, I'm sorry, but you're a stupid person. If you're actually telling people that the minimum they should spend money on is like a $500 red dot, you're a dumb person and you don't actually want to help people. Because the whole purpose of the post he was making was he's lecturing about like how people should be prepping and preparing themselves. It's like, got it. But now it doesn't. Now it just sounds like you're trying to tell everybody that you're just better than them, right?
Yeah.
And,
how dare you be poor?
And I don't know if you have optics preferences. I have a Holosun behind me. It's a solar powered, like multiple reticle. Like it's expensive. Yeah, it is expensive, right? I also have still on my match gun, I've got a Razor from like 6 or 7 years when Razor was really first coming out.
Okay. Yeah.
And so their stuff was very cheap.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, it wasn't like Temu prices, but it was cheap. And it was at the price point where you're like, is that too good to be true?
Right.
And now Razor, like, and this guy obviously wouldn't buy Razor because it's not expensive enough, but now Razor has a very solid reputation. Like periodically I'll see dudes walking around in Walmart with a Razor Vortex hat on. Like there's Razor fanboys out there now for the Razor line of optics. It's like, they built their brand by making it accessible to people.
Yes.
And it's quality. Like I've never had an issue with my Razor, but like, according to the rules in the tactical community, I should have never bought that. Like, never. But it has not come off my gun in 6 years. And I've never had an issue with it. So
yeah, I'm saying it didn't need to, obviously.
Right. Yeah. So like,
if it works, like it works.
I think I've just maybe paid like $200
doesn't mean it's better, and just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's bad. I mean,
right.
There are certain things that, yes, I'm going to be a little insistent on a good tourniquet, right?
Right.
I'm like, but beyond that, like there's a lot of wiggle room in the middle there.
Yeah. And it's unfortunately that there's like a stigma. And that was like the main point of my commentary on this last week is, this stigma causes people to not set themselves up for success, right? Like, it's okay to find something that's a little bit cheaper and even a brand that you haven't heard of, just go look at some reviews, you
I was
know?
gonna say, and so that was actually, I'm planning a YouTube video on how to do review analysis, because there's different types of people who will review different levels, different tiers of
Right,
products. When you get that S tier product, those are going to be and you pointed it out, the snobby reviewers.
right.
And the way we read that um, changes. If I'm reading some real entry level reviews, it's gonna be some real down to earth,
Yeah,
bros that just kind of want to make it work, and they're like, "Hey, look, I had this issue. You might look out for that." It's like
yeah,
I'm gonna read that real differently.
yeah. Yeah, and the optics thing kind of annoyed me too because it's like, even if it doesn't hold, if it doesn't hold its 0 perfectly, like, after you put quite a few rounds into it, like, if you're
Sure.
using this as a, crap hits the fan gun, right? It's like your home defense gun.
Yeah.
Like, again, you're not doing competition marksmanship with this.
Right.
You're not going, out in the street and you're, combating somebody 500 yards away. Like,
Yeah.
you have an optic that has a little glowy dot so that you can get it on a target in an emergency, and you're trying to hit a box,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
A
it's gonna work.
fairly decent sized
It's
box
a
too.
fairly decent
I mean,
sized box, yeah.
we're talking everyday carry. If we're talking everyday carry, yeah, yeah, you need it to actually hit what you're aiming at. Cool,
Yeah,
got that. No problem.
I agree. I think that if you're gonna put optics on a carry gun, you should invest in that, but
Yes.
the keyword is invest in that, and the good news is you don't have to start your carry gun with optics because they come with iron sights.
Yes. Which are
Learn how to use the iron sights.
they yes.
Even
Learn
if
how to
you
use them.
even if you carry, and I brought this up, I actually think I said this on the podcast last week, was if you carry with optics and you're concerned that your optic might go out, or you should just be prepared for your optic to go out in general, because think, even if I have an aim point, right?
Yeah.
If I listen to old Steve's advice and I go spend $1,000 on an aim point for
Right.
my carry gun, it could still fail. It's
Yes.
possible. So what do I need to do? I need to make sure that I have my sights are raised so that I can co-witness.
Co-witness it. Yes.
So that when I look through there and the dot's not there,
Oh,
oh
look, the
well, I
irons
guess
are
I'm using iron sights,
right.
which I've done, which I did. This was years ago when I was shooting USPSA. I was screwing around with my optic and my holster in between matches, and I accidentally turned it off, and I drew, and there
Oops.
was no dot. So I was like, guess we're
Oh,
shooting iron sights.
right.
I'm shooting iron sights through the window of the optic. So it's like, there's different ways to skin
Real
this
world.
cat.
Well, and it was so I just did the women's handgun safety class this last weekend,
Right.
which was great. We had like 20 women. It was
That's awesome.
wonderful. It was really cool. But it was a lot of fun because I got to sit down with each one of the ladies, talk to them about their gun, like, hey, look, this is how you get a good grip.
Right.
This gun isn't a good gun for you because it doesn't physically fit your hand.
Right.
Lots of older ladies who had more extreme arthritis, so they had physical constraints. And actually, the optics thing came up. I'm like, honestly, even if the optic doesn't work, it's going to be a good lever to be able to get another round in your chamber. And everybody's like, "Oh, I hadn't thought of that." It's like, it's a good one.
Yep.
So yeah, I do recommend having the having a red dot, sure,
Yeah.
but not necessarily just for the red dot itself.
Right.
You got a
Yeah.
wounded arm, I can still rack it off of my thigh. I can rack it off of the
Yeah.
bumper of my car, whatever. So,
Yeah.
what are some things that you have invested in, and you're like, oh, that was a stupid thing,
Um,
or have you never made mistakes? I'm sorry,
it's not that I've never made mistakes. Okay. So when I set out, this is super biased because I sell body armor. When I
yeah,
set
right,
out, I bought armor from AR 500 from Armored Republic.
sure,
They've got, cool messaging, Christian brand, all this other stuff. I had no idea. I really didn't shop around that much. I was just like, yeah, a really cool brand. I want to support, a brand that is super,
yeah,
pro
yeah,
America. Sounds great. Not that like there's anti-American body armor brands, but like Armored Republic is just so over the top with their branding. I was like, yeah,
yeah,
cool. Your branding's cool. Sold. And so I bought plate carriers and steel plates from them,
yeah,
and I don't regret it because it was all good stuff, but their plate carriers didn't have the functionality that I would have necessarily liked them to. and they
Okay.
were overpriced for what they did.
But
And
that
the
led you
armor
to
that led me to make a company where I now sell plate carriers that are much better
see, so
and
it all worked
armor
out.
that is the same quality but more affordable. One of the things, and this a lot of people fall into this trap, is like with the steel armor. A lot of companies like to do an upsell on the spall coating,
Yeah, right.
and so what they'll do is they'll be like, well, here's the base coat, and then for all this more money, you can get your spall coating, but also you can get a build-up coat for more. It's like, but so does your spall
What's the spell
coating
not
work
work?
or not?
Yeah.
Like, so how much spall coating do I need? Like the first part didn't work. And so what we do is we have a base coat where it's just the corrosion and it's cheaper because there's nothing else added to it. It just keeps your
Yeah.
armor from rusting. And then we have a spall coating. There's no magical second tier spall coat. Like it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Ours works. So like you just pay cheaper armor or more expensive because you're worried about, fragmentation. But yeah, I'd say like out of all my purchases, that was probably one
Okay.
that again, not really regret, but I wish I would have done more research and found out that I didn't need to pay as much as I did for what I
Sure.
did. My firearms, I don't think I've ever made that mistake with a firearm because some of the stuff I've spent a lot of money on, but intentionally so. Like I did a lot of research. Like when I was building I built an AR-15. Well, I built the 300 Blackout too.
Right.
That was more like ad hoc at a gun show. I just went around to tables just buying pieces, and then I had an armor at the gun show, put it together.
Nice.
But for
Was that super lightweight one that you brought into the shop?
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
that thing is sick. That thing is so nice.
Yeah. So yeah, when I built my my full size AR-15, which is on the wall behind me, it's the one with the right there, that Crusader one. I like hand selected each piece for that, right? Yeah. So like I made like a spreadsheet and I like hand selected like every single piece, every detail about it. But that was like a project I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so it cost a lot of money, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to build this custom gun. But then like other stuff like the KSG on my wall, like it's just KSG. It costs what it costs, stuff like that. Some mistakes I have made, gear wise, not investing enough money in flashlights, put on weapons, and then finding out that the recoil breaks the flashlight, and so it's wasted money. So that's the case in this is a specific case of like price gets you something that would have worked as a flashlight, but then the recoil of the firearm was too much, and I didn't do the right research. It ended up just breaking flashlights. So that's an example of like not buying something to the quality that needs to be. So
I like belts. I go through a lot of belts because I like testing things out, and so like I would buy some kind of a duty belt, and it's like it would like unravel. Inevitably the Velcro would come unstitched from the nylon backing, or it would it was only a single piece, and so it didn't have the rigidity that I needed. And it's like there's a lot of those things, and but the biggest one. I was talking with Megan about this, was for her concealed carry, like getting gear for her to be able to like go jogging, because that's when she really wanted to have it. There's a dearth, just a massive lack of quality functional. There's a lot of products that look good and they look like they should work.
Right.
And you can spend a lot of money on them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they actually are going to work for you. And so that was one of the things I brought up in the class, was I actually brought in some of her little, jogging shorts with the built-in concealed carry pockets and all this. And the pocket is like so shallow that like, I can't think of a single firearm that would even fit in it.
Right.
And so it ends up just flopping all over the place, and you end up having to have a secondary belt just to manage it. I'm like, well, then what was the point?
Right. So. Yeah. I've noticed that as well, that there's definitely a gap there. It's not in my product roadmap though. I don't do holsters, which means I'm not doing concealed stuff either, unfortunately. Not anytime soon. Like stick to what you're good at until you have the free time, then you can experiment with something else. So we've got too many other things to build, so
like, okay, like let's go outside that realm, like into like pocket knives, or you'd mentioned flashlights. I've had a couple flashlights that just failed for durability. You know, when I was working on motorcycles a lot, you know, I'd, you know, click, 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 and then just the buttons fell off.
Yeah. So I've got a rechargeable. I actually want to get a different one because this is a USB rechargeable one.
Right.
It's just some random generic brand. It's called Cove Max. So it's got like a waterproof rating on it. You can change the zoom on it, and then it's
That's
rechargeable. Yeah, so like you can unscrew it, and it'll change like the focus of the beam. So like I've got it like super narrow now.
So
it tightens it. It also has strobe. Yeah, so if I click it really fast, it strobes.
Huh.
So that's cool. It works really well. I've had it for probably over a year, and I use it all the time for like everything.
Sure.
I've noticed that it's starting to have some issues with holding its charge as long as I want it to.
Oh.
And so what I'm actually curious about is if I can find one that does two things. One is rechargeable, but accepts like rechargeable batteries, so I could.
Oh yeah, because they make the little AAAs that have the recharge port built into them. Or
so like this one, this is a 750 3.7 volt battery that goes in it. And so what I'm curious about though is I haven't tried it yet, but that looks like two AA's or two triples. Yeah. And so I wonder if I can pop two triples. I haven't tried it yet, but I need to, because if I ever run out of the ability to charge things,
right,
I have batteries in my go bag.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I need to test. So that's something to test. And if it doesn't work, maybe we'll just I'll get somebody to design one and then we'll sell them. I don't know.
Heck yeah.
When there's a gap, just design and do it yourself.
Right.
Which we're doing with optics, by the way. So surprise, we're doing with optics because
I think you talked about doing some optics. You found a vendor?
I did. We found a factory that produces them, and we're trying to target. Actually, really, kind of like what we're talking about right now is like that entry to mid level.
Yeah.
Like I have no interest in trying to compete in like Trichicon and aim point space because they own it. Big space. It's not just that they own it, right? Because somebody could get into that space if they wanted to.
Yes, absolutely.
SIG has done a good job with some of the SIG optics of getting in there. Now, part of that is SIG's brand carrying it for them, but it's pretty good quality, right? But like to get into that brand or to get into that space, you have to offer something different. And I just think that they just do a good job in that space at that tier. Like, what am I going to offer differently? Like, what features would I? And so, like, I look at the mid market instead, and I look at, you know, the prices and the capabilities of mid market. I hesitate to say entry market because I don't know that we're going to sell something that is like super entry level friendly, like, you know, $100 optics. Like, we're probably going to be. I think we're going to end up landing somewhere along where Razer was years ago, which is like that $200 to $300 range for like a good duty optic. But you know, looking at things like a large field for a red dot and making it have like, I can't remember the aluminum rating because I'm not a machinist nerd, but one of the higher tier aluminums. So that
70, 75 or something like that.
Yeah, probably. But you know, making it very durable, but then also features like quick releases on it. So you have a QD mount to pull it on and off. You know, things like that.
They end up usually being a little bit thicker. So co-witnessing can be a little bit more difficult, but that would be awesome features.
Well, what we'll also do is we'll build, and you and I talked about magnifiers a long time ago, but we'll have a magnifier that specifically will fit this as well. But then what we'll do is we'll make it so that it's got a riser, so that it'll witness with ours, but then you could pull the riser off to fit with other common optics as well.
Nice.
And I've actually got some of the prototypes on my shelf.
Sweet.
What are the other things?
I was raging about GBRS and their Hydra mount because I've got a knockoff one on my 10.5.
Right.
I'm like, so dude literally creates a problem and then offers the solution because he has that, you know, that riser mount. So I've got my laser sitting up front. You have to run your cabling all the way from the back to where your button is, whether you're running like a mod or whatever button at the front. The cables are too short. And so he introduces his Hydra mount alongside his 14-inch long cables and his 11-inch long cables. Like, you caused a problem so that you oh
Yep. I mean, it's brilliant, right? Like
it is.
that's one way to do it. So, but then like the other thing that I want to do is, and I don't think I want to get into the LPVO space because I think there's enough mid tier, and I've got like a middle to entry tier LPVO as well.
Okay. So like primary arms kind of mid tier, or
like right around that, maybe
okay,
slightly above.
cool.
And so like I don't want to get into that space either. I think the red dot space is a good space because a lot of the optics that are in that price point are overpriced for being like knockoff garbage. And so like you can build something in that same tier that is not garbage and does what people need it to do, right?
Yeah.
Well, like one of the things like okay, so if you're shooting competition and you're indoors all the time, your optic on your handgun, you probably don't pay much attention to it. But the majority of optics, and this is slowly starting to change, but the majority of optics for like handguns, especially, they're not enclosed. It's not enclosed glass, right?
Right.
And so if you have a single drop of water that gets on the emitter, now you've got this big blur
diffused,
right?
Yeah, right.
It's your
mess.
your dot is diffused all over your screen, right? And so like that's an easy problem to solve. It costs not much more to put a back window on the optic and put the emitter in a different space, like so that we're solving problems like that, and then be like, here, we're gonna make it affordable to you. So that I don't know. We got a lot of testing to do, obviously, especially with testing the zero holds and then testing how well they do with with taking shock and holding the zero.
So one of the nice things with having the open emitter though is that we have the access for the battery compartment without having to remove the optic. So are you doing a side door entry?
Yeah, hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me grab this. I gotta find it in a box.
We get a sneak peek.
You can keep talking as I find which box.
Because I agree. Having a closed emitter is great. And I was even actually talking with one of the gals who does carry daily, and she has a red dot. And we were looking at the inside, and it was nasty because she'd been doing construction in her house. She was wearing it on her hip, and so all this dust settled down into the cup, landing on the inside edge of that glass, and it makes this hazy mess. You have to get in there with a Q-tip and clean this sucker out, and it's a pain. So having a closed would be great because then it's just wipe off the front, wipe off the back, you're done. So yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, I like that. Put my light up a little bit too. Got really dark in here. There we go. Okay, so there she is.
Ooh.
So it's actually pretty small. This is a standard like RMR footprint.
Okay.
But the back is enclosed.
Nice.
The battery compartment is on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah. So you detach your two screws there, pops off your plate, flip it over, change your battery. Right.
Yep.
And these batteries will last for, depending on like what brand and how quality the battery is months or potentially a year or more.
Sure.
So yeah, that's the goal.
So is it like a shake awake?
This one is not, but we can make them shake awake. That's one of the things that we're toying with, is if we want to do shake awake or not.
So one of them, they had a system that when it was in the vertical position, it would disable the shake awake so that if you're holstered, it wouldn't. I was like, that's smart.
So I was talking to the factory designer about that because they make all kinds of different optics and stuff, and I was like, this sounds cool. And they're like, yeah, but if your battery lasts for 2 to 3 years, like, do you then really care? Like, I'm like, yeah, actually, that's a really good point. If I spend like
way too more
$20 every 3 years, like I've just made something more complicated. Well, one, you're introducing a new system that can fail.
Yes.
So you have a technology, you're adding in a failure point in the weapon system, or in the optic system in this case, but also your weapon system.
Yeah.
And then two, like that's going to cost more too. So somebody's gonna have to eat the cost of this feature, that the feature sounds good, but is totally unnecessary, because the moment you find out you can just turn your optic on and leave it for years,
why not do that?
Okay. Like, because like we're also like, what if we do like QR charging, like magnetic charging? Because that's brilliant too. But it's like, this consumes such low battery that like there's no point. So again, if we want to offer something that's going to make sense to people, that's at a cost point that's going to do something effective for them, add stuff just because it's cool to add. Like we could, like later down the road, if we wanted to, like we could make something that does all these different things. And then somebody who's like, yeah, I don't really want budget because budget is dumb. I want to be a
Going back to the
I want to be
first
an Invictus
conversation.
Templar. Yeah, I want to be an Invictus Templar fangirl. I'm like, all right, man, here's your fangirl optic that it's the same optic, but I added more technology into it, so you got to pay me more money, right?
Which makes it more complicated, more difficult to use, has more menus.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So
that's always been my issues. Like, they want to have all of these settings, but they only have 2 buttons to interface with it.
Right. Yeah, that's the other difficult part because there's not really room on here to do much, right? Like you've got 2 sides, and so you can put, your pressure switches here to do whatever you got to do. At most, you have another side to do it on, but you don't have a whole lot of real estate, right? So, because you got to think you also have your windage and elevation on there to actually adjust it. So, if you want to keep it light and you want to keep it in that RMR footprint, there's not, you can only do so much.
Yeah, physical constraints there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me grab the other one because I'll show you the rifle one real quick too.
Heck yeah. Yeah, because good, solid, reasonably priced rifle red dot. So I got to be I'm a dealer for Primary Arms, and I've been running their 25 mil closed emitter red dot for, I don't know, 5 years now. Yeah. And it's worked great. I've only gone through like 2 batteries in 5 years. It's been wonderful. But yeah, it'd be great to have, just to give them some competition. That would be rad.
Yeah, and also it's fun because then I get to play with the stuff that we're building.
Right.
It's fun too. I got like 3 of these, so I'm probably going to give you one to test out too.
Yay.
I ordered the rifle ones. The pistol one, I was like, I already know exactly what I want it to do because I've been running the vortex and everything else. So
oh yeah, right.
Let me get this thing out of the bag. All right. I'm coming back. I'm still here.
You're good. You're good.
All right. Cool. So here we go.
Oh, it's a Huey.
Yeah. So
heck yeah.
Fully enclosed. Right?
Yeah.
QD, of course.
Yes.
So we can close that bad boy and
with a 123 in the front.
Yeah. So now this one, of course, has a little bit more real estate, so we can do some additional stuff with this if we wanted to, just because she's got more body to her. But it's actually surprisingly, it's surprisingly light for its size. It's pretty sturdy so far. So we're going to see what happens when we go take it out, beat it up. I'm going to definitely throw it on a shotgun too, and let the shotgun take a crack at it and see how it handles that. Because you don't. I probably wouldn't put something like this on like a Barrett,
right? Or a Scar.
Yeah.
Scars destroy optics. That's what they're. I swear that's what they're designed for. Is
just to keep the optics manufacturers keep them. Interesting.
Scars just absolutely wreck optics.
I've never even shot one. I don't even know if I know anybody that owns one, honestly.
I don't know anybody out here that does.
Yeah.
They're fun though. Nice. Okay. So like, okay. Another one I was thinking about was like, your camera's like all over the place.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like the pre-built bug out bags.
Yeah.
Like, yes, technically you can, but the quality of product, and this kind of goes back to the same thing. It's like, yeah, you're spending money on not good quality. Whereas like you spent the money on specific items to build your AR, and you get what you paid for. When you buy one of those pre-built bug out bags, or you build, it's like, you're not actually going to get a good quality product. You're not spending money well.
Right. Yeah. I think, I didn't do. There he is. He's like, bug out bags.
Everybody.
It's time. I've never built. I built my bug out bags, and I've still got some stuff I want to add to them.
Sure.
But I have 3 bags. I have one for myself, one for my wife, and then I have like the kids bag. So the contents for my wife and mine are basically the same.
Yep.
And then the kids is slightly different, like less stuff. They don't need all of the same tools, right?
Right.
But so I didn't buy like a generic one. Instead, what I did is I put together like my priority list of like what are the things that I want. and I use Amazon for like most of it, right? Like I
Yeah.
want a fire starter. So I go on Amazon, I look at the fire starters. I'm like, this one has 10,000 5-star reviews and it's on sale.
Awesome.
Perfect. Let's buy it. Right. Because worst case, best part
High
about
five.
Amazon is like you buy it, and if you get it and you're like, oh, never mind, this is cheap junk, send it back.
Right.
Right. So like that's a great way to, especially for something like a bug out bag that's gonna have so many components to it. Like there's a convenience factor of buying a pre-built,
Oh yeah.
but then also like you could just create like a list and go on Amazon, because don't be lazy. Like if you need something that's going to save your life potentially, like just again, Amazon's got like 90% of the stuff on there. The only thing you're not going to buy on Amazon that goes in your bug out bag is like maybe like some additional like weapon components and ammo.
Yeah, sure.
But the majority of your stuff you can get on there.
Well,
So
if you're good with the keywords, there's actually quite a bit of gun stuff on Amazon.
there is, yeah, but obviously you're not going to get ammo on there. So, you know,
Come to Resilient Living, get you your ammo.
So I was going to chime in with
Yeah.
kind of my realm,
Yeah.
because I was just talking with somebody about this today, and you know the things they call solar generators.
Oh, good. Yay. Yes.
Yeah,
That was on my list.
I call them mobile power units or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't have a great name for them, but you look at them and they're like, you know, they can run a lot of stuff for a short period of time,
Mhm.
and they're really expensive.
They are.
And I just received some of the parts to build another. I've already built a couple of them. But you know, if I actually take the time to think about it and order the individual parts and put it together and understand how it works, I can have a much better product than if I go buy something off the shelf.
Oh, absolutely.
And
That
when
one,
you buy
that one's a hard one though,
something
because
off
like
yeah,
you
go
and I
ahead.
know the electronics behind it. You and I know the principles and the voltages and what they mean. The
Mhm.
layperson may not, that having a one, slam done kind of a solution really does. And I know you did your a couple of YouTube videos. Actually, you just did a YouTube video on acquiring good cheap batteries. That was
Yeah.
that was great. I love that.
Yeah. So what I'd say to that is that makes it even worse with the advertising as a solar
Sure.
generator. It's like,
Yes.
so now
Deceptive.
you're stuck in their proprietary solar panels and you've got to go out and buy those. And it goes from being this fairly, something that sounds like it should be simple and not, it's expensive, but it's not terrible, to being essentially useless. So I was talking to somebody today and he's like, well, I'm thinking about, buying one of these for basically one of their relatives who doesn't bother preparing. And I'm like,
Oh,
just go get them a cheap, inverter generator, small
yes.
inverter generator. It's because one of these solar generators, they don't charge even close to how quickly they're going to discharge.
Discharge, right. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And you just throw money after money. And if you just think about it a little bit differently, there's usually a better solution.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
I mean,
reliably told that solar is the best power source ever, and that's why we should invest everything into it, and
No.
also cover our house with it and ignore any concerns about EMF. So
Yeah. Or safety concerns for fire risk or anything else.
yeah, just
Yeah.
trust the experts.
just
And
Solar.
don't worry that, all the components are being dug out of cobalt mines by child labor or
I was
anything.
just about to say that.
and the dead zone
Yep.
around that mine.
Yeah.
Would make-
Yeah. So
would
I'm
make
all
Chernobyl
for,
blush.
I like buying used solar panels
Oh, heck yeah.
because I'm like, they're just about throwing these things away at the price you're getting them for.
Yeah.
They're 80 to 90% full capacity, and then there's a lot less that's going to go into the landfill. So
Yep.
And you're not directly impacting some child who's being forced to mine cobalt or
They were already forced to.
lithium or whatever else. So
Somebody else
that's
foot
how I
foot
do
that
it.
bill.
Yeah. But anyways, that's my example is you can build a much more capable system at a fraction of the price.
Sure.
And
a lot of the, well, I won't say a lot. Several of those systems you can reappropriate components of.
Mhm. Yeah.
So with some cleverness, you can
Yeah, with a little bit of know-how, you can take the components from one that you build yourself and build something else, or upcycle them essentially into some other components.
Yeah, sure. And it seems to be that was kind of their shtick, is they undersized the charge so that it would kind of force you into buying more of the battery modules to expanding, extending your capacity, even though
Right.
that isn't actually going to help you in the long run because it's going to take even longer to charge.
Right. Yeah, and it's just something where it's like there's an easy solution to this, but nobody's putting it out there because people don't want to spend the extra little bit to get that functionality because they don't understand it. The faster charging or whatever else.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Anyways, that's my 2 cents. I'm gonna jump out here again and let you guys
Just
think about it. I was just jump in, jump out.
That's funny. Well, yeah, but I mean, so it's the same stuff. I mean, we if we can spend 4 times as much on the Geisley versus the Palmetto State,
right,
we can spend 4 times or more on the solar generator versus just the components. I mean, because he found a vendor, they decommission solar arrays, like commercial grade solar arrays, and then they go through, clean, test all of the panels, and then they sell them for literally cents on the dollar. He had a whole stack of them. I think they were selling for like $15 a panel for 300 watt panels.
Interesting.
$10 a panel for a
$10 a panel.
330 watt panel. Yes.
Yeah. What's also interesting out there is you get these brands, and good on them, I guess, that they're able to charge what they charge. But there's a brand who I won't name that sells level 4 ceramic plates. They're 10 by 12s, and they charge just over $1,000 for a set.
Yes.
You can go find out who this is. It won't take you long because they're one of like 2 brands that does this. Go look at what they're made of. Go look at how much they weigh. Then go to our website, look how much ours weigh.
Yeah.
Look what ours are made out of. And by the way, theirs and ours are made in the United States. Well, ours are almost half the price. It's the exact same product.
Yeah.
Half the price.
With the same capabilities, NIG certified. It's not like you're, like just, oh yeah, it is. No, it is.
Well, so ours are NIJ compliant. They're tested at one of the NIJ ballistic labs. Theirs are also NIJ compliant, not certified. They're not on the they have certified plates.
Sure.
And I think they charge a little bit more for them. That's like another $100 or $200 for the certified version of the same thing. But these are non-certified plates. They're charging over $1,000 just because of their name brand. And it's insanity.
It is.
And I've seen that from other companies as well. They do that, but it's not as egregious as that. But yeah, it's crazy. So the market's full of that. And unfortunately, it makes people think that they can never afford a lot of this stuff, right? Like they think that they cannot.
True.
They get this impression that they have to have, they have to get like a HELOC in order to afford
do that.
Basic preparedness gear, right? And so it's like, no, man, like you can go and build your bug out gear on Amazon. Just look at the reviews, look at the people who've already tested this stuff, and then send it back if you get it and it's garbage. Yeah. You can start small. And that's like one of the biggest things. Like for the longest time, I didn't have a bug out bag because it does take a little bit of money to first of all, you have to get a backpack.
Yeah.
And a quality backpack's going to cost a little bit of money, $50 to $100.
Yeah.
And then you got to get the contents, and the contents can add up really quick. So buy a little bit at a time. Right.
Absolutely.
You don't need, I don't know what name brand, like Surefire. Surefire is like the only name brand flashlight I know. You don't need a Surefire right off the bat. Like, should you upgrade to one over time? Yeah, maybe. That's
probably
cool. Probably. Like they have a good reputation for a reason, but like if you can't afford a Surefire,
Streamlight makes a really good product too.
Right. Like, yeah, Streamlight. Like, but if there's a natural disaster, like tornado comes and wipes out power, and now you're in the dark. Are you happy that you didn't buy the Surefire, or are you happy that you were waiting to buy the Surefire, but you don't have a flashlight at all now? Like, or are you better off with like the $30 flashlight that you found on Amazon until you can afford to upgrade? Right. And that's like the takeaway, honestly, with like most of this stuff. Like there's some stuff that you can't go super cheap on. Please don't go out and buy body armor that's $30. That's a bad idea. But like, there's a lot of stuff you can get away with. If you shop around, you bargain shop, and then you upgrade over time.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's like, okay, so like I got set up to be a vendor for oh shoot, what was their name? My Medic. They have good products. Like I went through all the reviews, I went through the physical stuff. I'm like, dude, this is really good.
Yeah.
And I looked at their pricing and went, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah,
like
it's insane.
There's nobody in Middle Tennessee that's going to drop $300 on a backpack that's full of med gear. Good med gear, yes, but
good med gear. But like, how many people are trying to gear up to become Navy corpsmen on their own?
That's exactly what it was. It was like this is a corpsman's bag, not
like their IFAKs are pretty expensive too, and that's like that's the other thing is like what I'm going to also give a secret here. A lot of the companies, this goes back to optics, but you'll be shocked to know that a lot of your name brand optics, I won't name them. I'm not going to name names. You can figure this out on your own. You could probably ask ChatGPT and it'll tell you. It'll rat them out. But there's optics companies out there who they get a lot of their parts from China. So what they'll do, and here's another thing. There's two things. They'll get parts from China and then they'll assemble it in wherever, right? So, hypothetically, like I'm not saying SIG does this. I'm just going to say, like, maybe you love SIG optics. Yes. It could turn out that SIG buys like their housing in America and their glass from China. But who knows? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying they do,
right?
But they could, right?
Yeah.
And so people are often paying a premium for some of this stuff, and they don't realize that actually it was assembled in America. Or there's another optics company who they actually buy the glass for their optics is the glass that Leopold doesn't use because it didn't meet their standards.
Oh, the seconds, yeah.
So Leopold produces, or they have whoever produces their glass, and then it has to meet a certain quality standard. And when it doesn't, it gets shipped off to these other companies. Now that doesn't mean it's bad, right? It can still be good, but what people don't realize is like, Joe Bob's Optics is not producing their own glass over there in their own shop. They're getting like the hand-me-down. Literally, they're getting Leopold's hand-me-downs, right? Which is fine.
Super common.
But just be aware that like your favorite brand might not be, doing everything 100% proprietary. And that's okay. That's how the world has always worked. Like when the Industrial Revolution happened, like Henry Ford was not by hand himself building every piece of the car.
What?
Okay. But yeah, right. Like he was not mining the ore and smelting and like making steel. Right. Like that's not a thing that he was doing. So like there's always a supply chain. It's just, how strict are you on your supply chain, what you care about, and then like what's the cost trade-off there, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. No. Well, and I was thinking about like it's like, navigation. So yeah, you can spend a fortune on some of those really nice Garmin GPS systems, or you could learn how to use a compass and a map.
Look,
which you should know anyway.
Okay. Here's the thing about compasses and maps. If you are a officer in the military,
no,
you can't.
Lieutenants do not get.
Yeah, by default. Lieutenants can't do it. So it must be 03 or above.
Right.
So yeah. But I agree. Like there's no reason where like somebody can't, and you can get a lot of like the little key, like the little paracord keychain or wrist bracelet thing that's got the tiny built-in compass. Like in an emergency, you don't need something that is like hyper accurate.
No.
Right. You're not trying to calculate a single mil. Yeah. I know that the fire rescue is that way. Let me go that way. Right. I'm trying to get to this hill so I can see the place over here that way, and that's it. That's all you need. Right. You're good. Learn how to navigate that way. Like you don't have to have precise land nav skills to survive something. Right.
Right. So yeah, and it's way too common, especially in the prepper community. Is we get this idea of all of these Gucci solutions for all of these problems that probably we will never see.
Right, and that's the other thing is, and I said this in the podcast last week. The guy talking about how he burned through two different PSA barrels. I'm like, look, man, that's all great, right? But the other point that I made on the show was, the odds of you ever being in a situation where you're expending thousands of rounds of ammunition because of the end times, like you're probably not really in World War Z, And if you are, your barrel is the least of your problem. It's actually running out of ammo because where are
Supply
you getting
chain.
your ammo resupply?
Right.
Like, and you're not going to, if you're putting enough rounds through your barrel to melt the barrel or just to wear it out, like you've already gone through, like, have you ever seen a survival movie where they had that much ammo?
No.
Like even in these
Hoarding
like
every possible round. Yeah.
right. I don't keep enough ammo stored to be able to burn through all my barrels. Like I just
No.
don't. Like I don't
Gosh,
have that
no.
kind of money. Not not in
I
this
wish.
economy.
Yeah.
Not in
Right.
this economy. No. So it's just not realistic. I was
No.
like, yeah, you're not at the Frozen Chosen fighting the waves of Chinese. You know, and yeah, sorry, you're not Smedley Butler.
That's
So
right. There you go.
get over it, you know, just be realistic. But yeah, people prep for the things that are never actually going to happen. Here, I'll give you an example. So when we moved to Tennessee, so growing up in Indiana, in Northwest Indiana by the lake, because I was by Lake Michigan, tornadoes are few and far between because the lake effect shields you from that very well.
Oh.
But they were a thing. And typically, like where I lived, I was just outside the range of where tornadoes would actually be because I was just close enough to the lake. The lake effect almost like 99% certainty would block tornadoes. Like 5 to 10 miles away, we would every once in a while one would touch down, like further south, right? So moving to Tennessee, there's no giant lakes, like there's no Lake Michigan in Tennessee. So there's nothing to disrupt tornadoes here except for mountains. And so like tornadoes became more of a real threat.
Yeah.
And so what did I do? I went and I bought a NOAA radio.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I bought a cheap one just because I was like, I don't really know exactly what I need. So I went out and I bought it. It's actually sitting on my desk. And then after using it a few times, I was like, all right, this is not amazing. I want one that's like programmable by my location and I can filter out alerts because I don't actually care about a thunderstorm warning. I can hear the thunderstorm. I'm in my house. I'm not worried about the thunderstorm, right?
Yeah.
Your thunderstorm warning is doing me no good. If the house gets hit by lightning, your warning didn't do me any good. I already know to be inside, so I'm good. What I want to know is if a tornado touches down. And I want to know if one touches down in my county, not 2 counties over, because for those of you who don't have a NOAA radio, you get on a frequency and the frequency is for a region.
Mm-hmm.
Unless your radio allows programming for basically like think of it like a sub-region, which is usually by zip code, or like a grouping of zip codes. So if you buy a generic NOAA radio, you'll go to like your broadcasting. Like, so for me, like the main station is out of Nashville. From Nashville to me is 2 hours. That's a long way. Big space. So if a tornado touches down from me 2 hours away, guess what's going on at 2 a.m.?
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, oh God, come on. So like, this was like a thing where it's like, okay, I bought the thing. I was prepared. I got the weather alerts. Great. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to research more and I'm going to then invest in a better NOAA radio that costs 3 times as much because I want to be able to sleep through the night unless a tornado is actually in my city. Right.
Yep.
But this is an example of you can buy the cheap thing that's going to save your life because if you're worried about death by tornado, you would much rather be woken up for a tornado that's an hour away than not woken up at all. Right.
Agreed.
And then once you can afford more, buy the radio that is 3 times more.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you know what's important at that point.
And you know what's important. Like you learn that way too. Like you made that point earlier about buying like an entry level firearm, burning through that. Go ahead, burn through that barrel. Right. Burn through it because you can afford to, you can afford it. You can buy that second Bear Creek. Right.
That's right.
And so it's okay to make those mistakes. Don't make those mistakes on the Geisel, right? Don't make the mistakes on the aim point. So I think that's a good way to do it, right?
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, so like when Meg and I were younger, we did a bit of backpacking, and that was kind of more my foyer into the whole paradigm. And dude, those are some spendy brands in there, and that like when you get down to like
there's a whole culture around it, right? And so when you have a culture around
possible everything, Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, clothes. I mean, like,
Mhm.
golly. And I'm like, dude, I just want to go out camping with my girlfriend. Like, what? Why am I spending, $2,000 on a backpack and then the tent and the
Right.
this and the that and the jet boil? And I was like, why are we complicating this? It's
Jared,
backpacking.
we're
Yes.
designing a backpack.
Oh, are you
We are.
awesome?
So
What do you got? What do you got?
Ryan's gonna
Tell-
like this because you guys had an episode months ago where you talked about backpacks a little bit and you're talking about the weight.
Yeah.
And I think the weight or the size that you guys landed on was, you said something like optimal is like 35 to 38
Yep.
liters, somewhere in there.
That's my sweet spot.
Like unless you're like going to ruck to live in the woods forever, right? Like in which case you've got the main pack on, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the sweet spot is somewhere in there. And so we're building a modular backpack. We already got like the concept art for it. And so the modular backpack is going to do a couple different things. We're incorporating like a semi-gray man concept into it.
So it's not covered in Molly? What?
It's not covered in Molly. It's going to be dressed down a little bit,
Cool.
but it's still going to do tactical stuff, right?
Okay.
So, like one of the things that we're probably going to do is we're probably going to put a helmet cover on the front of it that's reversible. One side will have Molly if you want the Molly. Flip it over if you want it to be slick and to look like a camping backpack, right? Just making the appearance less tactical.
Yes.
But then also, it's going to be modular in the sense of it's going to be two detachable compartments. So you're going to have like the main pack piece, which is probably going to be, I would guess, around 28 to 30 liters.
Okay.
Like as the main body.
Yes.
And then it's going to have what I'm tentatively calling like the outrider, which is a panel that detaches and also goes on your plate carrier.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
So you can just.
Oh, are you using the zippers?
Yes.
Oh,
so the zipper system that we already have on the plate carrier, and that zipper system will go on all of our plate carriers too. We've got 2 more in design, and they're all going to be cross compatible like that. But what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to take essentially this assault pack, right? This gray man assault pack, and you'll be like, I don't want to walk around with the entire thing. And so I'm just going to take the panel off. And now I've got my hydration and a couple emergency supplies, put them, throw it on the back. And if you want to wear the whole backpack, then just wear the whole backpack like you normally would. But you're going to have that option, right? So I think that'll be fun.
A chest rig that you can have go onto the backpack.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. We had somebody else reach out to us about a chest rig the other day too, and we're working on that. There's a lot of things that are work in progress. We're creating an ecosystem, right? So we're making an ecosystem. The chest rig will be compatible with the plate carrier too. What we have to get right is we want a chest rig that does enough stuff on its own to make sense to just wear it as not a plate carrier.
Yeah.
One thing being is it's just far less material, so you're a lot lighter and not sweating to death at the range if you're wearing a plate carrier. Now, our plate carriers are very breathable, but breathability only goes so far when you have a front and a back panel, right?
Yeah.
So chest rigs are just lighter, more comfortable, especially if you're just at the range doing whatever. But we want to make it fully cross compatible. So whereas traditional chest rigs are like a panel and then pieces attached, the pieces attached in our case is going to be our placard system. So you'll be able to rip the placard system off of your chest rig and throw it on the plate carrier. Possibly what we might do is, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this, is make the entire strap system quick release. So if you've got let's say that you wanted
buckle in.
You wanted to put the whole thing on your plate carrier, you just detach, and just take the entire front of the chest rig and just slap it on your plate carrier, and now you've got like a whole war system, right? But that's later down the road. We're gonna have a little bit of fun with that.
Sneak peek. Hey,
yeah, there's your sneak peek on that.
I like the gray man idea.
Yeah,
I think so many of these companies, and maybe it's because they sell more this way, but they tend towards tactical, and it's like, tactical or military, and I'm like, but I don't want to look
like the rest of everybody.
I don't want to look like a target. I just want to look like some normal person.
I want you to be able to wear this on the subway, not the light rail in Charlotte, because I don't want you to get stabbed, but I want you to be able to wear it on a train somewhere, and people aren't going to like suspect you of being like some goon operator, right?
Is there a subway that you can ride right now that you won't get stabbed?
All right, let me rephrase that. I want you to be able to walk around downtown without anybody thinking that you're about to be a mass shooter. Okay.
There you go.
Although neither of you have the correct long hair and look like that you hate your life. So
Nope.
I think
Or that
nobody's expect you that anyway.
we're taking psychological drugs. Or,
Yeah, you
right.
got the SSRI eyes, which
Yeah.
we
The
could do
nose
a whole
piercings.
conversation on why that is not being talked about enough, because it's
Right.
like 9 out of 10 cases.
Is
So
it
there's
that little? That few?
I think it's more than that.
It's not it wouldn't be fair to say it's 100% of
We'll
cases.
say 19 out of 20.
Yeah, 19 out of 20.
That sounds more fair.
Well, remember, there are other people committing mass shootings for other reasons. So,
For other reasons, yes.
for other reasons. So
They're just not called that, I suppose.
that's right. We redefine mass shooting in order to fit whatever we want the mass shooting to be. So, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, but I do, like I said, I really love the option for a gray man, because I think it's way too focused on to make these things that stick out and you look like an operator. And it's like, I don't. First of all, I'm not military at all, so I don't want to be posing as somebody who was. But secondly, I don't want to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, and I don't see a reason why a backpack needs to look tactical. Like, if you're going to look tactical with like the backpack, you wear the plate carrier and throw like the Outrider pack piece on it, and then you're tactical because you've got a plate carrier.
Right.
I'm not going to make a plate carrier that doesn't look tactical, because like, what are we doing if we're trying to do that? Like, if you want to wear concealed armor, go for that. But plate carrier is going to be tactical because that's like its purpose. But a backpack has so many purposes, and a backpack has more purpose than just tactical. Like, I would love, if we get this right, like this can be like the bug out bag, the camping bag, it could be the does all the things in its weight class bag. Right. And so it has to look that part too. And in my mind, there's no reason that a backpack needs to look tactical to be used tactically. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's
like,
about as tactical as I'd ever want it to be. I mean, it's just,
right.
it's green.
Like a flashlight, right? So the flashlight, there's nothing tactical about this flashlight beyond the fact that it's black, but this could be red. They sell these in red. This could be bright red, and it operates the exact same way, right? So it's like, this doesn't need to look a certain way in order to do what it does, right? And so the backpack's the same way, So
that is awesome. I look forward to testing that.
Yeah, we'll see.
And on that flashlight, the voltage you mentioned would be 2 AAAs stuck together.
2 AAAs.
I thought it was really close.
Yeah. What'd you say? 3.7 volts?
That's what I said.
Or 3 point something volts. You might get a little bit lower luminance out of it with just standard batteries. But
3.7.
Okay. Yeah, because it's what, 1.6. Yeah, you're looking at like 3.2 volts is what your standard AAAs are going to put out.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love having stuff where you can swap out standard things for, especially when it comes to batteries.
Yeah,
that's handy and very uncommon.
Yes.
I think Amazon, well, part of why I think it's so uncommon is Amazon used to carry a lot of things in, I forget it was like the 123 battery, but it was the 14, I don't know, 560 or something like that.
Oh,
instead of the 18650.
Sure.
And it was the exact same size as AA's. And so they stopped carrying it like in any, like you can't get a toy car with it in it anymore.
Oh, wow.
Because people would start putting the wrong batteries in and they're the wrong voltages, or they swap those out into something that had AA's in fry.
Woo!
Yeah.
Spicy. Nice. Well, and so like, okay, so a lot of this in my brain, a lot of the people who I see doing what you were talking about, Cal, at the beginning, almost for clout, it's the Instagram guys. It's the guys who have the quads on their head that go through the Wendy's at 2 a.m. and like, it's like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. Well, I think there's that, but then I think people also they have this idea that if it's supposed to save your life, then it needs to be expensive, and it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe, but maybe not, and that's what people just need to have discernment, and they have to understand that it's not a one size fit all, and in which case it's more like just just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's good. But I think there's part of it is the clout piece, but then like this guy, in this particular instance, this guy that I ran across on Facebook, Steve, Steve didn't even have like a picture of himself on his profile. Like it was like a animated picture, like, you know, he'd used AI to generate some image or whatever, like a logo for himself, right? And so, you know, there's definitely people in the prepper community, maybe not as much in the tactical sphere, because if you're a tactical influencer, or just you want to have your opinions about tactical stuff, like you probably don't conceal a whole lot of stuff.
Okay,
But
sure.
in the prepper community, I think you have far more people who are conservative on what they put forward in appearance. So for them,
Okay.
they're probably not posting all of their, now people do post like their stashes, right? And they're like, look at
Yeah.
all my stuff that I've stashed. And it's like, cool, man. Yeah, that's good. This is actually a good example. We can look at this and we can learn from like what you've put your money into, and is this a good decision or not?
Yeah.
I don't think they necessarily do it for the clout. I think some of them have just this mentality of like, if you didn't buy a certain brand, it's not reliable. You know, and it's, again, this goes into the fanboy fangirl thing of like, yeah, I love Ford because my dad drove a Ford, and so I love Ford.
Sure.
And I will never shoot anything other than a SIG, even if SIG shoots me. You know, things like that, right? So it's just one of those things where like people get attached to like a certain namesake or a brand reputation, and they stick with it, right?
Sure.
And like conversely, like, I've never had an interest in owning a Trijicon, even though I've seen super high quality Trijicon optics out there, and I know guys who love their Trijicons.
Oh yeah.
But I was issued a Trijicon in the Marines, and it was so just hot garbage that I just have a bad taste for Trijicon in my like. I have this mental picture of like, I don't want a Trijicon, like an aversion to it, I guess is what you'd say. Despite knowing how good some of the Trijicon optics are, like it's like I just can't get over that, and so I'm just not going to do it. So sorry, Trijicon, I'm just not going to buy your stuff, even though I know you have good stuff. And similarly, like I don't have an interest in buying Aimpoint because I've just seen how like nauseating inducing not Aimpoint itself, but like their fan base, like people, like if you go look at like the optics forums and you see the people like fawning over their Aimpoints, and like people are going to get mad on the stream now about it, right? Like I just won't buy an Aimpoint because I'm like, I don't want to be associated with that, because you just act like insane people. Like Steve saying like you basically have to buy an Aimpoint or you suck. And it's like, all right, Steve, whatever. You're gonna get capped by some dude with a Taurus and a Team of Light in a wheelchair, right? Like when you're gonna be so busy doing your Dracula monologue that you're gonna get capped by, you know, Haas, you know, 300-pound Haas in his Walmart go-kart. So anyway.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I think there's definitely a fair amount of I guess from my perspective, pride that people put into their own decisions, and if you don't agree with my decision, that somehow undermines my own thinking. Yeah, so yeah, I can see it. What do we got here? We got a comment.
Mike asking if we, look at that. Mike, thanks for, let me check the status of your order. I'll do it here live on the air. Let me see.
Kind of service you get, Mike.
Yeah, that's the service you get. Let me pull up your order.
You will look, I'm sure you're looking forward to getting your stuff because it's good stuff. Yeah, I've known so many people who, you know, they'll do their research, they'll come to their conclusions, they'll, you know, spend the money, and then they have to convince everybody why that is the penultimate of decisions to have ever made.
Bright lights, UPS, bright lights. Mike, your delivery is tomorrow between 5 and 8 p.m. Now that I've said that, be on watch for porch pirates. They're going to be ready to steal your stuff.
That's right.
So prepare to repel boars. Trauma pads. Actually, trauma pads will be in stock about 2 weeks. Actually, yeah. So we have trauma pads on the way. So we'll I forgot to even mention that. I haven't mentioned that. So we're gonna sell trauma pads, everybody. Woo-hoo. So trauma pads coming probably, like I said, 2 weeks. There'll be an email going out. We'll put it on social media and all that good stuff. So
all sizes? 10,
Just 10 by 12s, 10 by
10 12.
12s, which because we don't sell large armor because we don't have carriers that fit large armor. So since we only sell 8 by 10 and 10 by 12 plates, the trauma pads are going to be 10 by 12s. And no, we'll probably never sell 8 by 10 trauma pads because guess what you can do with a trauma pad if you have
Cut
small
it down.
plates? You can fold it. No, just fold it.
Yeah, right.
Just fold it. Yeah. So don't cut your trauma pads up. You don't need to buy different sizes. Just 10 by 12s for anything 10 by 12 and below. Anyway, Mike, thanks for your support though.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to cover on this evening?
Let's see. Did we talk about the fluoride in the water?
Oh, you want to go down the rabbit hole?
I mean, on this
I say fluoride in the water.
Ryan jumps in.
Turn of the freaking frogs, yay!
You should have seen.
It wasn't wrong.
That Calvin gave me when I said, "Hey, what do you want to talk about?" He gives me this list.
I gave him the most absurd list. I was just trying to think of the most like absurd list of things to talk about. So I was like, what are the most divisive things? I was like, what did I say? Like gay frogs, chimeras, aliens, of course, Jewish space lasers and Freemasons, MLK and being a CIA plant. My favorite one was that people who think cilantro tastes like soap are actually possessed by demons, which is not a conspiracy. That's just true. So yeah. Also the Crusades were necessary and justified. So
I may have to go get a exorcism, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you're one of those people.
One of them.
Yeah. So that means
I can enjoy cilantro, but I notice a little bit of that soap taste in it. So I'm one of the weird people who
I've noticed it more than I did in California. I don't know if it's the species that we got growing out here, but
could be.
It's I believe it's the kind of excessive sun plus excessive moisture.
Sure.
And so it tends to bolt way too fast here too. And so I think we get more bolted, kind of not very good tasting cilantro.
Yeah, because once it bolts, it is not the same. Okay, we got a comment from Mr. Brendan. Any opinions on Vortex? Had a decent experience with them. When it comes to money, though, I tried to be as budget friendly as possible. Comes to drones. Oh, drones, that's a whole nother one. Whew.
That's its own episode.
It really is. Especially with China. China. You do that entirely too well. You practiced. Okay, thoughts on Vortex? I'll leave that to Cal. He's
yeah, I've got, hold on. I'm going to turn the camera off when I get this. Otherwise it's going to go all over the room because the AI camera is possessed.
So I've never actually had okay, hold on. I did have a Vortex HD for a minute that I was borrowing.
Yeah.
It's got it had good glass. Like I enjoyed
so I've got a Vortex on here. It's been on here for, like I said, 6 years. This is the Venom.
Yeah.
I got it off Amazon years ago.
Right.
It was somewhere between $200 and $300. And I mean, looking at it size wise, right? It's kind of large, especially compared to like the footprint of like where we're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see the difference in technology over the course of 6 years. Like the footprint is different. But this thing has not come off in 6 years. It's been phenomenal. It's been dropped. It's been beaten. Like you might not be able to see it on camera, but it's torn up and chewed up all around here from, being beaten on everything, but it's held up. And if there it is. She's on. So, yeah, I think Vortex is great. I haven't bought anything new from them recently, but yeah, it's been great on a comp gun. I built this as a comp gun just for funsies. It falls into open class, which makes it wildly unsuccessful in open class because you have guys with actual race guns.
Yeah.
But short of like the John Micklicks of the world, like this thing still holds up very well. And I mean, it obviously well outperforms, duty carrier and even duty optics class. So, yeah, I like Vortex. Is the short version. I think they're good. So
nice. I was thinking about he ended off that comment about warfare becoming with drone warfare becoming a huge thing. I saw some really cool shotgun anti-drone rounds last week. I was like, that's dangerous. Like Yeah, as far as I understand it, FAA still considers that a no. Don't shoot drones out of the
Shooting down
sky.
drones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a pretty big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, because it is an aircraft and
I
On the-
look at
protected.
it. I look at it as if we're ever being invaded and foreigners are using drones against us, I don't care what the FAA says at that point. I will obey all laws until law stops being enforced, right? Like,
Yeah.
when there's no longer the capability to enforce the laws, then and that's like the same reason like you have a firearm, right? Like if the police aren't there to protect you, now you got to protect yourself. So
Yes.
you know all those rules apply that way, right? Like we're going to obey all the laws. But if society collapses, then I don't think anybody cares. I'm shooting an Iran's drone out of the sky.
Well, somehow I feel like if you shoot Iran's drone out of the sky, you're going to get sued by the U.S. government for some reason.
I have a weird feeling too, kind of like when there was a weather balloon going over the United States and we couldn't do anything about the Chinese weather balloon.
Right.
No, it's impossible.
It was
We just
impossible
watched
to
it.
do anything about that weather balloon.
And they
than-
definitely didn't do anything in the shadows while we were all worried
No.
about the weather balloon.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Never.
So we're good. Yeah.
What did we use? Like a $2 million missile on it or something?
Something stupid
Something-
like
yeah.
that.
After it had already passed over
After
all
it-
the like, there was no
Right.
there.
No
there was,
longer a
like,
threat.
if I remember correctly, at the point that they shot it down, the trajectory of the balloon literally did not have another military base it would have flown over. Like we
Right.
shot it down so it wouldn't like go over like some crab fishers in Maine or something, right? Like,
Yeah.
which maybe we should look. Some internet sleuths should look into that. Why were they protecting the crab
Ooh.
fishers in Maine? What was actually going on there? Is the real question.
That's the real.
Yeah. We are cool with them going over our nuclear sites with the balloon, but not Maine. What was going
Well,
on?
did you know that speaking of nuclear sites,
Ooh.
that Pokemon Go, they were like manifesting the Pokemons inside the sites on purpose? and,
Yep.
and the idiot employees, they're like, "Oh, this is the
Oh, I
best
thought I-
Pokemon."
What a bunch of morons.
But they successfully mapped the entire
that's
world
the,
using that app.
That's the video game version of the singles in your area pop-up ads from like the 90s, right? Or the Nigerian prince relative that you didn't know about. So
Right.
it's that tier of the people who fall for that have no inner monologue. They just don't have it.
Doesn't
And
exist.
I was in my 30s actually when I found out that there is a percentage of the population that doesn't have an inner monologue, and at that
So
point
weird.
I was like, that's weird because I don't know how to get through my day without talking to myself, but because my wife wouldn't want to talk to me that much. But I was like, oh, this actually makes sense. There's people who they physically like they actually can't rehearse things in their head. I'm like, this actually makes sense now. Yeah. So
Yeah, I figured that out when I worked with this guy who literally could not function without saying it out loud to somebody else. Like he couldn't make a decision
wow.
without having a
no.
conversation.
Wow. Okay.
So he spent his entire day on his phone, calling between various technicians who, would basically just,
Well,
set
talking
the
through
phone
it.
somewhere else and let him talk. Yeah, it's very weird.
That is. Alrighty. Well, we're about that time. Cal, you want to tell everybody who you are and where they can follow you and find out more about your products?
Yeah, I'm the guy with controversial, semi-controversial opinions, and I own a company that sells body armor and really cool plate carriers. You can find us at invictustemplar.com. All of our social media is also Invictus Templar. We're also on Spotify and YouTube if you want to catch the Coffee and Crusade podcast, where I give hot takes and not so hot takes, including tactical tips and dispelling heresy. This week, I think we're going to be talking about a little bit of some fatherhood struggles. So I think it'll be a fun conversation, or a fun piece for people to tune in. And if you want to hear the full rant about Gucci gear, you can also listen to last week's episode. So there you go.
There you go. Nice. Well, Ryan, you didn't talk a whole lot during this episode, but Can you
No.
tell everybody
No,
who
as-
you are and where to find
He,
more about
he
you?
popped in for solar panels, and when I mentioned fluoride in the water, so
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
literally-
in for whatever conspiracy theory. I'm up for it.
let's now that you've said that, let's talk about why the Titanic was sunk. Let's schedule an episode for that, and we'll just talk about the Titanic. And the
It
truth
wasn't the
behind it.
Titanic. It was
was
actually
not.
the sister ship.
There
You
it
mean
is.
the you mean the one that what was it? JP Morgan didn't
Morgan.
get on? When-
That's
yeah.
right.
Hmm.
This is
And
gonna
then
get
the
fun.
Fed was-
This is its own episode, or
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
just maybe so that you guys don't get in trouble on your channel. I'll host it on mine.
Okay.
We'll do Crusade talk. So, all right,
Sounds
sorry,
good.
Ryan. Ryan, go ahead.
Podcast after hours.
You got me going down a road. And so if people want to find my actually quite non-controversial stuff on YouTube, just look up the Homestead Consultant, or I don't know, you can go to thehomesteadconsultant.com if you want help with your homestead.
What do I do if I have two chickens that just won't stop leaving their run?
Shoot one of them.
Make an example of them. Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of solutions right behind you, but
We've done that. We've done that.
there's a crock pot.
What? Actually, serious question. Have you ever had a broody hen that just would not stop being broody? Do you just turn them into dinner or what?
Oh man. So if you can get them chicks, like if
We
you
did
can
that.
get them,
She
you did
raised
that?
chicks. Yeah,
Mhm.
we hatched
Mhm.
some
Nice
chicks.
job.
She raised them at 8 weeks. At like exactly 8 weeks, she was like, "Time for more welfare." Hopped right back in the box and was like, like,
Oh.
come on.
Yeah.
We
I
did
don't
this.
know. It's either, get rid of it. Some people will try dunking them in water. I don't think that works.
Like an ice
For
Um,
bath.
how long?
Water
Yeah, like an ice bath. You just
Glunk.
dunk them in for a bit. I don't think that
Baptize you in
works.
the.
Usually if you get them babies, they'll figure it out. But if they don't, either consider it a blessing and keep using them. So they'll
Mhm.
raise out their young and you don't have to deal with it. And you
Yeah.
get, some roosters at the end of it that you go in your crock pot. But
Right.
um
Well, we just
otherwise
hatched,
get rid
we
of her.
just hatched a second batch of chicks for her, and she doesn't want them.
oh, okay.
So,
So you're not letting
she's-
her sit on them.
She's real close to. She's sitting on eggs right now. We're gonna let her stay. We've separated her. We're gonna let her see if she'll actually hatch these ones herself.
Mhm.
But if she doesn't, this is her third time, third strike, and she's dinner. Like so.
Well, you can try the ice bath and let me know if it
Ice
works, but I've never actually heard of
curious.
it working.
Interesting. Yeah, I want to go I want to go baptize a chicken now. So, all right, cool. On that note, all right.
Jared, what do you do?
Goodness. I am Jared Wilson. I own Resilient Living, this podcast, and the shop. So we sell a lot of preparedness items, from firearms down to books on disaster preparedness, homesteading, and anything and everything between. You can come by the shop. We're right between Sparta and Spencer, right on 111, corner Hodges Ferry Road. You can catch us online, resilientliving.com. That's LIVIN.com. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Yes, all of those. Had to think about it.
All the above.
All the above.
You're on TikTok. That's disgusting.
I do. I know, right?
That's disgusting. All right.
Another conspiracy
Another
theory.
It's a whole nother. Hey, but it's American
Oh,
owned
yeah.
now. It's better, right? No, it's worse.
Mhm.
It's so much worse.
It's way worse.
It is so bad.
I need my government to do more things for me.
No. All right, everybody. Have a good evening. Catch us next week, Tuesday, 7:00. We'll be here. All right.
We'll be here.
Later.
See ya.